If you are new, don't let this scare you. It's a lot easier than what it seems because look around. If everyone can do it, you can too. So do not ever let this topic scare you. Please remember to always consult a professional. This is not legal advice by any means, so do your own research. I am only sharing my journey. Tax season. The tax season scaries are among us because if you have not been prepared, if you have no idea what's even going on, well, time is creeping up because tax season is literally around the corner. And honestly, you should have been preparing the whole year for this. As I mentioned, this is only my journey, and I do think that this is an advanced topic for content creators and entrepreneurs, what I call contentpreneurs. So if you are new, don't let this scare you. It's a lot easier than what it seems because look around. If everyone can do it, you can too. So do not ever let this topic scare you. Before we even get to tax season, we need to start at what comes first. So we're going to go up the line all the way until tax season actually begins. So let's go ahead and rewind from the start. If you're making, and keep in mind this varies by country, state, everything. This is my own journey from the United States, living, well, not living because right now I'm in Thailand, but based with a company in Florida. Okay? Keep that in mind. This is my own journey that I'm sharing. So if you're making anywhere from $600 to $1,000, that's the moment to register your business. I personally went ahead, I registered an LLC. Now, keep in mind that I do have another business. I co-founded an agency way before I got into the content. So that's actually when I registered my LLC. You might have seen me on any of Taylor Brand's ads. It is a very good company that I recommend. They're not sponsoring this video, but I do recommend it because it honestly does the whole registration process no matter what state you live in. So you go through the registration thing on Florida. It's at sunbiz.org, I think, and it is very easy. Now, with a business registration comes the creation of a business bank. That is probably the most important thing to do because you should not ever have your personal and your side hustle business, whatever you want to call it, together. That is a big no-no. It has to be apart. And my favorite, the one that had all the features I was looking for, was an online bank, had a really cool app, easy to use, could be used anywhere, could allow me to have multiple accounts inside one without charging me for each account. Because let me tell you a secret, with so much technology out there right now, having a bank like those traditional banks that charge you per account, that's just not gonna fly with me. So I found the best bank out there, online bank, free accounts, free all this stuff. You can add all your team. Super cool, easy to use. They have all the profit first functions. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And it's called Relay Bank. Now, this is probably the most important part. You set aside a percentage of everything you make. For me to find this percentage, I Googled, I researched, I called accountants. Now we're working with an accountant, but you do not need to start with an accountant. Just ask around. Make sure that you do find the right percentage for you because this is different for everyone. This depends on where you live, what state, how much you make, if you're married, your household size, like so many things, and even my own personal percentage. Each year it's changed. So make sure you do your own research. You have that percentage, and basically anything that you make, you set that percentage aside. Let's say my percentage is 25. If I make $10 and 25% of that, I am putting aside in my separate bank account that is in my Relay Bank. And I know I mentioned at the beginning I wasn't working with an accountant. When it comes to tax preparation time, if you look up anybody locally, you can go to an H&R Block, a TurboTax, anything like that gets the job done because at the beginning it is pretty simple. So along the year, everything that I'm making, I'm setting that money aside. And most importantly, I am tracking absolutely everything. Not with a pen and paper, no, with softwares. I use QuickBooks. It's super easy. You connect all your stuff and it literally tracks everything. So I'm tracking what's coming in and what's coming out. You might have heard of deductions and all the things that you can deduct. We're about to jump into that. But basically, with all that tracking, when it comes to tax season, you download what's called your P&L statement, your profit and loss. Now, this isn't really what I was talking about when I was saying that making money doesn't mean you have revenue. That's a whole nother topic for another video, which I know you guys have asked for, so it's coming. I'm going to explain all that process. But this P&L statement is basically, okay, this is what you made, this is what you spent, and this is the end of what has happened for the business that year. With that specific paper, that paper is super important. You take it to your CPA, your tax preparation services, wherever you are going, you hand them the paper, and that's where the magic gets done. Now, of course, there's a lot more magic to this story because taxes in general open up a huge book, especially for entrepreneurs, especially for self-employed people, people who have registered a business, because hello, deductions. Deductions, or basically write-offs, are a huge, huge, huge thing and huge advantage to having a business. If there is one thing that you learn from this, besides setting your percentage aside so that when tax season comes, you're not freaking out because you don't have the money, it's to get yourself a business credit card for everything that you're spending, from equipment to softwares to the apps that you're using to getting your nails done, for filming a video, to flights, hotels. So many things can be deducted. That's honestly just a whole nother world on its own. But basically, using a business credit card not only gets you points that you can redeem for super cool stuff, if you've seen my IG stories, those first class flights, but it also allows you to have everything separated. You should not be spending stuff for your business with your personal credit card, and never, ever, ever, ever be using a debit card or cash. That's just like a no-no. So those are basically the things that you're doing throughout the year. Now, there are some other things that are sprinkled along. If you are earning more than usually $600 from one direct source, they will normally ask you to fill out a W-9. And yes, this applies to UGC creators, influencers, working with brands. If they are paying you more than usually $600, they'll have you fill that out. Maybe they won't ask you right away when they are signing your contract, when you're getting that done, but they'll ask you towards the end and beginning of the next year when tax season comes, and their finance team is probably on their back to get all these papers from all the people they've worked with. So you get 1099s for everything that you've earned. So for example, from YouTube, if Instagram is paying you, if another brand is paying you, if you're doing contracting services, you get 1099. If you are working with people, if you are hiring, which if you watched the steps to turn UGC into a full business, you know that that's a thing, and that's a thing that brings your business results. So if you are hiring, on the opposite, you are handing out 1099. So come tax season, you show up with your P&L, you are spending your 1099, and of course, having your percentage of that money in the bank. You have that money there. Depending on how you've registered your business, quarterly payments are also very common. That is something that I have been doing throughout the years, which is basically each quarter, and you just Google quarterly payments for 2020, whatever year it is, and you find out when your payment has to be done by. You go to the IRS website and you submit your quarterly payment. Trust me, it's a lot easier than what it seems, but it is very, very personalized. It's honestly like me sharing what my doctor's recommendations for me were. It obviously depends on everyone, but what I can tell you is that doing your research and getting your butt to see that doctor is what's going to help you find out what it is specifically for you. Now, I'm hoping that this video brings in also experts on the topic, and a lot of you guys I know have a ton of questions, so hopefully down in the comments there can be a little mingle and interaction between experts in this topic, which is definitely not me. I mean professional CPAs that know this inside and out, and of course all of us as creators and entrepreneurs that have tons and tons and tons of questions. So drop them down below, and I'll see you next week.